Hello and welcome folks, my name is Fake Fairy Tale and this is my shading tutorial for stairs and staircases. I've made a written tutorial about this quite a while back, I think it's already over a year ago, that was received quite well and I wanted to convert it into a video as well, simply because the written tutorial has by now sunken into oblivion and I think it could help a lot of you people find out how to go about staircases and how to make them pretty, because as a matter of fact it isn't that hard actually. Now I want to add in a little disclaimer because I use Dungeondraft of course and the Forgotten Adventure assets, but I think this method might actually hold up even on different software. So you can always try it out if you have different software with different assets and see how it looks. And if you want to know where I got these assets from, you can look them up in the description of this video. Now let's dive right into it. This, what you see over here, is the base Forgotten Adventure staircase asset, and it actually already looks quite good. You have one version that has no handlebars on the side, looks like this, but for the matter of this tutorial, it doesn't really matter which one we use. Now, in order to give this whole staircase a bit more depth, there are a few easy steps that you can do, and we're actually just going to use two types of shadow pathing for this, which you can find further below if you have the Dungeondraft integration, which are the shadow path large 75 and the shadow path large 50. The 75 is for its opacity, so the 75 is more opaque than the 50 and is darker. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to select the 75 and we're going to put the width on 0.1. What you want to do is make sure that your transition in and transition out is on none. And we'll drag a line along the edges over here, on the edge of the staircases. And we do this for the entire staircase. As you can see over here, we already finished that up, and it will make the steps in the staircase pop forward a bit more. And this already is all actually an improvement. If you see, I prefer the right side vastly over the left side. Now, we do one thing differently at the bottom here, because as you might see, the edge of the staircase here looks a bit unfinished, as if it's cut off halfway, the black line over here. And there is an easy way to fix this if you want to. The first thing that you can do is you'll add in the same shadow path, so the shadow path large 75. You put it on fade and on fade, and you'll draw a line. We have to start on the right side, from all the way at the edge to the other side. There we go. And now we're going to search for the wibbly wobbly line, and I do not make this stuff up. The name is it's actually like that, and it should be a bit further up over here. We're going to put the width back on 1. There we go. And it's just the wibbly wobbly line that is used to outline all the assets in Forgotten Adventures. So we're gonna turn off the transition back to none. We'll place the wibbly wobbly line from the left to the right. I actually made a little boo-boo there. Oh. There we go. I want to make this look pretty, even in a tutorial. So there you go. That gives a finishing touch to the bottom stair, to the bottom step. You could do the same thing at the top step if you like. I haven't done it over here, but well, same principle. Just draw the line over there. And you can continue with something else up top. So, where do we proceed from here? The next step is we're going to go back to the shadow path again. The shadow path is 75. There we go. We're going to put it back on 0.1 again. Transition in fade and transition out fade. And we're going to draw a line along the edges of the staircase, but not including the outer rim, the handlebar, or what you call it. And we're just going to go from bottom to top on both sides. And this pulls away the steps from the sidebars, and it gives again a bit more depth, but there is one issue I still have usually with this staircase, and that is that the bottom of the staircase is as bright as the top of the staircase, and this takes away the idea of depth, and it's actually very easy to fix that, and it looks way better if you darken out the bottom of the staircase, and that we can do with a shadow path large. And the width we put on 1. We're just gonna draw a line from left to right, and actually I forgot to put the fade out, so there we go, like so. And this is what I would say finished. If you want to do it quick and easy and don't spend too much time to fix up your staircases and make them look perfect, this is all you need to do. And it's a matter of, well, what is it, a minute or so to just fix this up, do this real fast, and you have a very cool looking staircase in your map. Now, you can do this in different shapes as well. It's actually not that different. I have a corner staircase and one that goes in a circle. And as you can see, I did the same thing. So this is the shadow path large 75. Just draw a line here. Do that on the top side as well. Then we have the shadow path 75 fade in and fade out that we do along the side of the staircase. And actually, because this is a 2-step staircase, I decided to make sure that the top is a bit brighter. So instead of using the path 75, I used the path 50 to make sure that this side is a bit brighter to maintain that illusion of depth that we have here. I drilled the wall with the shadow path here as well. And I have a shadow path 25 put on 0.5 over here, 0.5 width, and put that at the bottom of the staircase. So the bottom of this staircase is still darkened out a little bit, but not too much. Otherwise, the first steps of this staircase would be as dark as the bottom ones over here, though this halfway plateau would be quite bright and it looks very weird. So we want to make sure that you don't make it as dark. And in order to make sure there's sort of a smooth transition, I use some shadow paths over here. And in fact, I'll go look them up for you right now. They are these ones, the double shadow path, to just make sure that they're on fade, to just ease the transition between the lower part of the staircase and the upper part of the staircase. Over here, I'll just quickly gloss over it, but it's actually not that different. You have a shadow path on the side here. Though with this one, the only difference there is that a shadow path, a larger shadow path along the bottom side won't work here. Because if you do that, you'll see that, and I'll take a darker one to make sure it's clear. You'll see that the shadow goes beyond the actual staircase. That's not something you want. So instead of using a half pathway, we'll use a double pathway. And we're just going to line the bottom of the staircase like so, to make sure it's darker than the top and that you have a smooth transition and you don't have any shadows cast beyond the staircase and mess up your map like that. And that's about it for shading staircases. And I would like to show you a few real life examples that I made in maps from a longer time ago. So I'll zoom in a little bit over here. You have some examples. This one is one of the corner staircases where it goes all the way down. I have it darkened out quite much. This is one of the half circles. And again here, I had to take into account the light and making sure that the top side is brighter than the bottom part, which was actually a bit tricky in a dark, grimy dungeon. And lastly, I have a staircase where both the top side as the bottom side were lit up. So I had to make a very subtle transition between the two different areas, but I think it worked out quite okay. Now, I can imagine for you guys that some of you might want to know how I go about these extra fluff pieces, like adding in a nice railing that looks cool, or the shadows cast by the railing. And for that, I would like to build a staircase from scratch. So we'll put up the grid and we're going to do this whole thing just from the start, and I'll walk you through the process. And this time I'm really going to focus on making it look as pretty as possible. So first we're going to find ourselves some staircases. Here it is. Okay, we'll snap the grid, and we shouldn't forget to turn off the fade. And I'll make the first part 2 blocks long and one block. And in order to add in a few additional elements, I'll be placing down some walls. I'll turn off the shadow and we'll just make this a room. All right, we'll add in a few doors like so. We're going to add in some pillars to give the corners a smooth transition. We'll just make it stone pillars, make them a bit smaller, place those all the way in the corner. Make sure to put them at layer 700. And I'm going to need a half pillar here. And I think wood will suffice. Yep. And we're going to use these ones to create the corners of the wooden door frame. Awesome. We'll add in a floor. And it's important to note that we're going to put a section of this on layer 1. And I want this one to be higher up, in case you want to place something underneath the staircase. There we go. For now, I'm going to turn off the grid because I won't be needing it. And I'm going to search for the wibbly wobbly line, turn off snap to grid, place down a line here, and do that also on the top side. We put that on layer 2 as well, layer 3. Okay. Now we're gonna go to staircase. And Forgotten Adventure has all these kinds of pieces that we can use to make it look good. That will do wonders actually. I want it to be something smaller, so we'll take the ashen railing and snap the grid. Place those down over here. That will be the railing. We'll add in these railing as well. Put them on layer 300. Place these over here. And then I quickly have to fix the pillars. Okay, now we're going to go to the shadow path 75. Put it on layer 1, width 0.1. And we're going to drill all these edges over here. All right, and I noticed I forgot one thing, so we're going to go back to Stair Ashen. And I usually add in one of these railings on the top side, just to indicate that the staircase ends there. And right now it will look kind of weird, but if we add some shadow paths on the other side, it will kind of pull away from the floor and it'll look a lot better. Now we'll be going over the side of the staircases by putting it on fade. Take it from all the way at the bottom here, go all the way up. And we'll do the same over here. And take one lighter version of the shadow path and do that. Drill that along this side. Okay, awesome. And now we will take the same shadow path, put it on width 1. Place that down over here. Might actually even make it a bit bigger this time. And I think actually in this case it works out quite well because this one is 2 blocks long, and I think we don't have to darken out the bottom part of the staircase up there, though maybe. Let's give this a quick try. 0.4. And we'll add in some shadow pathing along the walls just to make the whole area look somewhat nicer. And for the staircase, I'm gonna make this somewhat smaller. There you go. Now it already pulls away from the floor, so this is much better already. Don't think we need to do anything up there. Fix this little mistake that we have here. And now we can proceed on to the next step. I finished up all the steps that I've done here, but I want to add in some more. I want to make this look really nice. So what I'll be doing is we're going to create a light source. Place that over here. There we go. We'll add in a light, make it a bit more orange. I always like the orange. Place that over here. We'll change the environment light to be a bit darker, just so that you can notice the difference somewhat better. And now I want to make a shadow that is cast by the light source on the railing. In order to do that, I do the following things. I trail the first shadow paths, and it takes a bit of trying to see how wide it should be. Right now I'll put it on 0.25 because I'm under the impression that this is going to work quite nicely. And I'll draw a shadow from the light source all the way to where I sort of want the pillar to cast its shadow. We'll do that the same thing for the one in the middle. Though we're going to make this a bit longer because, well, as a matter of fact, the staircase is going to be a bit higher up here already, so it will cast a larger shadow. Unfortunately, it's quite hard to make it a cone shape, and I don't think it's that necessary to make everything look that perfect, because this can already be a nice touch. We'll draw a light source over here as well. Sorry, a shadow. And we won't do the same thing for the other one. Now we'll take the edit tool and we'll change the paths to align with the pillars. And the last one over here. All right, that's good. And I'll keep the same one. We have the shadow path 50 small. And right now I'm going to draw the shadow where I imagine the railing will be, more or less. And for the second part, I will be making it a bit larger, say 32, and I'll have it drop out somewhere over there. Now you might notice that it doesn't align perfectly here, so we'll just extend the shadow pathing a bit in order to make sure it touches. And then we're going to put this on width 0.1. Take the light source and draw it from here. And for the next one, we'll put it on 0.5. For the last few, I'll increase it to 0.2. And we'll draw a few ones over here as well. And right now, I'm just going to take a short moment to fix this all up, make sure that they align well. Alright, and that's it. I'm not sure if this is the scientifically correct way of doing things. I just like how it looks, and I think that it makes this whole hallway area look kind of cool. So if you don't like it, don't do it, but I try and put it in my maps anyway. Now, one of the last things I want to do is to make sure that these railing pillars pop out a little bit more. So we're going to put a shadow path on layer 4. Put it on 0.1. Now we're just going to darken out these edges over here. And right now it looks kind of cool. And if you want it to be on top of some furniture, we can even, I'll have to put this on one layer lower. And we can take a cupboard. And we'll put the cupboard on layer 100. That's not correct, below water. You can place it over there. Now it looks like it's really underneath the staircase. That looks very cool. You can do the same with boxes or anything else that you want to put underneath there. Technically the shadows would change when they come off the cabinet because there's a drop in height, but if that's the kind of realism you're going for, that's perfectly fine, of course, but I think that might be a bit too advanced for most people, and even for me that remains a struggle, so I usually just do it like this. And then we have a cool room. This is where I would like to call it quits for now. I would like to thank you for watching. I hope this tutorial was helpful for you. If it was and you enjoyed the video, please hit the like, favorite and subscribe button and ring the sub notification bell to stay up to date every time a new video comes live. And I hope to see you guys again in the next video.